All right, if everybody would rise and join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can we have a roll call, please?
Wilson?
Here.
Simo?
Present.
Pat?
Here.
Ostrowski? Lyons? Funkhauser?
Here.
Spears? Here. Teeling?
Here. We have a quorum. Are there any amendments to the agenda? All right, having none. First, we'll start with our presentations. First, we have a presentation for the wind ensemble at Yorkville High School with Victor Anderson. Would you like to step forward? How you doing? Good. Congratulations to you guys. Thank you. I have to say it's a little bit of an honor for me. The mayor's not here today. I'm your mayor pro tem, and I wasn't the wind ensemble in high school, so I think that the wind ensemble gods all aligned allowed me to present this to you. So I'm very happy for you guys. This is a certificate of recognition from the mayor, Mayor Gerlinski, which states that the mayor and the city council of the United City of Yorkville present a certificate to Yorkville High School Wind Ensemble for earning top honors in your class and being named an honor band at the Super State Concert Band Festival held at the University of Illinois in recognition of all your hard work and for your dedication and commitment to your performance of music. Congratulations and great job. Presented this 22nd day of May, 2012, signed Mayor Gerlinski. So congratulations. Band members that are here from the wind ensemble step up and come on up and let's take a whoa! So let's just stay and smile and give everybody a few minutes to take a few pictures. How you guys do that? I'll give you minutes or seconds to tell everybody about the competition for who's watching to learn a little bit about the great.
Well, first of all, I'm sad that Mayor Gerlinski couldn't be here tonight because he has a son who plays trumpet in the Yorkville bands as well. Not quite in high school yet, but I'm sure. I hope Alderman and clerks, I hope that you enjoy the CD. This CD that we made, the kids just saw it tonight for the first time. But I just picked it up on the way here. And we're happy to provide that for you. And the tracks at the end of the CD are the ones from the Super State Festival, so I hope you enjoy that. And this has been a career goal for myself. This is my 14th year teaching, and I'm just thrilled that we're able to go to such a prestigious concert band festival. The festival itself. The hard part about this festival is getting accepted into the festival. So the kids and I spent a few hours on a weekday night with a recording engineer and recorded our best sounds that we could, submitted that for application, and then about 6 6 weeks later, the University of Illinois invited us to come to perform at the Super State Concert Band Invitational. And from that invitation moment on, we had a month to prepare to perform at the festival. And this being our first time, we really worked hard to get there. Besides our curricular in-class rehearsals, the kids and I spent 6 hours together rehearsing outside of school, and we brought in instrument specialists to work with each of the instrument subgroups. In addition, we had several clinicians come and work with the ensembles, and they were emotionally involved in what we're doing, and it was one of those moments performing in Krannert Center at the University of Illinois where everything came together, and it was an emotional moment for us, the musicians, and it was an emotional moment for the audience, and certainly for the judges. If you didn't get a music notes publication, this tells a little bit more about it and some of the great things that college band directors from around the country are saying about our little Yorkville High School wind ensemble. And it's pretty impressive, but these kids are the ones who worked so hard. I'm especially excited for these seniors to get to go out with such a bang, and we're also looking forward to building off of this success with next year's ensemble. So thank you very much for having us, and thank you for your
Thank you. Congratulations.
Great job, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll proceed, not having any public hearings today, we'll proceed with citizen comments. Are there any citizens that wish to address the city council? Sir? Make sure you sign in, just identify yourself. I know you know the process.
It's been a while. Nothing earth shattering here. Just haven't been to a city council meeting in quite a while, as you know. Was a regular attendee from here for quite a while. I do enjoy Mr. Allen's comments usually every week. I'm a regular watcher on the TV. And that's the subject I'd like to bring up, is just that I've speaking to you before, and I don't know exactly what you can do about it, but the audio is not that good, and it's kind of hard to understand folks that sometimes speaking or talking, I don't know exactly what can be done in your IT department or whatever, or possibly updating the microphones or whatever. It was something I'd encourage you to do for us folks at home who can't be here, that would like to follow what's going on. And I would encourage you to try to, get a little better audio quality. That's why I'm saying.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, I'm Lynn Dubicek, and as you all know me, I'm Executive Director of the Yorkville City Council Corporation. So I'm here tonight, and on behalf of Pushing the Cat, I wanted to provide you with an update on what's going on with Pushing the Cat, and I handed out a little update sheet to all of you. This is our totals of what we've been doing. We've had many successful fundraisers, and stands for Alive in the Community and reaching many different people. We've had a water jug at the fundraisers. We've raised about $450 for the jug. We are now selling Darlene t-shirts. I brought one with me tonight so you can all see it. It says, Dream, Walk, Run, Blade, Bike, Connect, and Believe. And these are available for $25 at Nanette's. This is something that we're raising money with as well. These are actually ladies' shirts, so guys, I know you'd like to have them, but I think they're considered a burnout shirt. So they run small in case you want to buy one for your wife. So they're available at Nanette's, and we will have them at all of our events for $25 as well. Also, we've had a couple of raffles and raised about $1,600 for that. But most importantly, we have 67 people, organizations, businesses that have signed up to the Power of One. And we have actually collected a little over $34,000 from those individuals. Our grand total right now that we have collected is $39,932. So under $100,000. That is significant because it means that the first 2 years of our commitments to the city is completely covered, and we're about halfway to our third-year commitment to the city. And we are still holding launch to our 100 Power of One teams and raising our $100,000 by July 5th. Just also wanted to remind everybody to watch our website because there's lots of things going on. The community has really gotten behind this. There are people getting bake sales, subdivisions having garage sales to push for the path. Catelli's here in Yorkville is having a fundraiser today where they're giving 15% of everything that they sell to push for the path. During the month of May, Nanette's is giving 10% of all our proceeds to push for the path. Rebounds is having a fundraiser on Saturday, June 2nd. And right now on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, there's an online auction that one of the teams is holding. It's the most unique, innovative idea that I've heard. The people went out and they got a lot of different things, tickets to Cubs, Sox, Bears, concert tickets, and you can actually go online. The auction's open until Friday, and you can actually bid to win everything from tickets to the event that's being held at Medina, the Ryder Cup, all the way to see Steve Miller Band. I know that it's going to be very successful. You can see where the bidding is going. So I want to thank everyone for all of their enthusiasm because people have been coming out of the woodwork to reach out to our group, and it's been really an honor to get to know a lot of the people from Yorkville that have really stepped up to help us with this. So I wanted to provide that to you, and stay tuned and go to the website. There's a lot of good stuff happening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Good evening, Your Honor. First of all, I want to say thank you to Mr. Milner for his kind comment. This evening, I want to talk about the electrical aggregation. 200 years ago, Mr. Burke wrote that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. And these words remind me. The thought came to my mind because we had already had this vote, the discussion was done, and then I had to learn through the media, the newspaper more specifically, that we were going to have this vote again. The plan calls for the citizens to be enrolled into a plan giving them the choice to opt out. And to me, that's just outright fraud. I don't like such things. To me, I see it as going online, enrolling you in a book club, and then saying, Carl, Your Honor, if you don't like it, you can opt out. To me, that's fraud. When you do it through the mail, if I were to
enroll anybody into a credit card and say, here's your credit card, I sign you up for it, and if you don't like it, you can opt out. I'm pretty sure that one of Chief Hart's men would be at my door with a warrant for my arrest for mail fraud, along with the United States Postal Service. That's the two issues that I have, the two smaller issues that I have. The other issue I have with it is all of the politicians that are involved with this. Here I have, Your Honor, and I have a whole list at home of Republicans and Democrats who have gotten campaign contributions from one of the utilities, the one being ComEd. The top Republican, first of all, I want to say that the average salary today of the average American is $26,364. The top politician receiving contributions is Illinois Senator Tom Cross, who has received $21,000 in campaign contributions from the utility company. I'm looking at this. I've got the figures going from 2004 to 2012. The rich Republican, the party of Mitt Romney, has received from 2004 through 2012 $625,000, $625,850. The poor and impoverished Democrats, the ones that represent the poor, the ones that work for menial wages, the party of hope and change, have received $1,078,951 in campaign contributions. There is no way, Your Honor, anyone is going to tell me that we can trust these utilities. Also, with the issue of smart meters, ComEd is one of the companies that is putting out their smart meters, and I've been following it with some friends from Naperville. Christine Radagano, who has received a lot of money as well from ComEd, has been one of the strong supporters of smart meters. ComEd stated that they needed people's driver's license and social security numbers. They had to have them to set up these smart meters. There is no way in the world, there is no reason in the world for them to need these. They then stated the city council was then asked if that data would be secure. Their city council said yes. The question was then posed to them, asking them, okay, how do these smart meters work? Well, they put this meter on your house, and then it sends out a signal every so often. It pings out. They said, okay, well, what's in the signal? It says, well, it's your usage along with your personal data, so we know who's been using it. Well, if you're transmitting that data through the air, it can't be secure. That city council lied. And this is one of the other, that's another concern I have, is that they're going to try to force that down our throats. Also, they're using microwave technology, which is like living underneath a 100,000 or a 1 million kVA power line. That's another thing that they force down the citizens' throats. The citizens then began to protest in Naperville. The city council has been showing up in plain clothes, mixing in, and spying on its own citizens. The city has also now said that in the end, citizens who refuse to comply at first will have extra charges laid upon them. And then we have these special units implemented, and the technicians will be accompanied by armed police. That is one of the most sickening things that I've ever heard, is for a city council or any level of government to work with the utilities and then use and exercise the very police that are supposed to protect us to enforce their technology down our throats. It's wrong, it's immoral, it's unconstitutional. The utility companies then make up rules, and they've been asked about the rules about high or peak usage at times for extra cost policies. Those policies haven't been made clear. They said, well, you know, you're going to get charged a lot more with new policies because if you use a lot of electricity, like between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning, then you'll get charged more. So then one of the citizens asked, well, what if I work second shift and I come home and then start to use power during the off hours? Well, we don't know about that. You would just have to pay the invoice, and that's something we look at down the road. Your Honor, I have to ask also, I don't know what's in these policies. I don't know what they're offering us. I have a concern that we're going to pull another Nancy Pelosi. We have to vote on it, pass it, and then we'll see what's in it. And then that's when the surprises come. To me, I understand that a lot of citizens are for it, but I don't think they do it right looking forward as to the consequences that go with this. We are essentially, what we would be doing, the same city council, future city council. I don't have a problem with this council, but I do worry about future council. It would say, we trust you to work with these politicians who are getting millions of dollars of campaign contributions to get us the lowest rates. I don't believe it. I don't trust the utility company. I don't trust future city council to do the right thing. Your Honor, I would like to remind you the words of Benjamin Franklin, that those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety will lose both and deserve neither. I believe that the vote that we're going to have tonight, if you have a vote this evening, is whether we will continue to be free or whether we will be slaves to both the politicians and the utility companies. We can have freedom or tyranny, but we can't have both. Thank you, Your Honor. I yield the floor.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other citizen comments? All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second. All right, roll call.
Kosovo.
Aye.
Spears.
Aye.
Funkasser.
Aye.
Gilson.
Aye.
Teeling.
Aye.
Pat.
Aye. Motion passes. So now we move on to the approval of the minutes of the previous city council meeting. So I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular city council for April 24th, 2012 and May 8th, 2012 as presented.
So moved.
Second. That's fine. Cottonfield. Fine. All right, any discussion or modifications? Alderman Funkhauser?
I have one, give me 1 second to go to the page. It is on page 5 of the May 8th minutes. Second here. That is the last page. On page 5 of the May 8th, it is under the electrical aggregation plan public hearing. I made the comment about wanting to point out that that evening was the second hearing, and we were taking action on that. It was on the agenda, we voted, but what is missing from here is the fact that it was against our procedure ordinance. I just wanted
It's against the procedure.
to vote on something the same night we have a public hearing. I just want to add in that one piece to it. The information is correct, it's just that our procedural ordinance prohibits us from voting the same night we have a public hearing.
Any other modifications?
Are we going to vote on these individually, or are you voting on both?
Well, I say we just update them all and then just have one vote for all. So for either one, either April 24th or May 8th. I just had one minor change on the first one for May 24th. At the bottom of page 3 is when I was questioning the NMARC representative regarding whether they were going to test all the soil. Bottom of page 3, right here. And it gives her response, and I just wanted that to be clarified, that she stated that no, they would not be testing all the soil that was tested to Evergreen Farms. All of the soil, so I just, that wasn't clear, and to me that's an important issue. Any other modifications to either May 24th or May 8th?
Your Honor,
Yes.
real quick, just for clarification purposes of your correction, you meant testing every truck of soil, correct? And when you say just testing all the soil, they may be thinking,
Yes, every truckload.
because it just so
My direct
for
question,
people reading
would
it.
every truckload
Yeah.
be tested?
Yeah.
The answer from the NMARC representative was no. I want that to be clear in the minutes. Thank you. Alderman Keeling.
On the same, on page 4 of 7, in the middle of the paragraph, Alderman Teeling stated, if this site isn't approved and a different site is picked, the road would be protected. I think I said the road wouldn't be protected. So if they, I didn't
I have where you are, so you're saying.
I said, if this site isn't approved and a different site is picked, the road wouldn't be protected. And so this doesn't make any sense. Maybe you're going to have to listen to that.
Okay. I will.
Because then the rest of the sentence doesn't make sense. So before you change it, listen to it and see.
Sure.
It just doesn't.
Anything else? Okay, based on that, do you guys want to see an updated version of the minutes before we vote on them? Or do you want to just vote on them as amended? Do you want to see them? Okay, so with that, do I have a motion to table the minutes to the next city council meeting?
You just want to table the April 24th minutes and not the May minutes?
Yeah, we can do that. So at this point, do I have a motion to table the April 24th, 2012 city council meeting?
So moved.
Feeling? Roll call on that, please.
Spears,
Aye.
Muntz, Funkhauser,
Aye.
Gilson,
Aye.
Teeling,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Delosimo.
Aye. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the May 8th, 2012 city council meeting, minutes as amended. As amended.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Rose and Murray.
Spears,
Aye.
Funkhauser,
Aye.
Teeling,
Aye.
Gilson,
Present.
Pat,
Aye.
Delosimo.
Aye. All right. With that, we move to the mayor's report. I will entertain a motion to approve a resolution supporting the application and inclusion in the Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program, ITEP, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this issue? Alderman Cott.
Just clarification, do we have to select one of these three options before we move ahead?
Yes.
And
We need to decide whether or not we want to apply for the northern section, the southern section, or the entire project. We could not limit it to one side of the street. IDOT said that would not be allowed.
okay. I think I asked this at the last meeting, just one clarification. Even if we go through with this, there's still some point we can opt out if the money's not available, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and as far as we know, there's no penalty either.
Breaking this up between the north and south sections, if we choose one and not the other, we still have to do lighting at some point for the other section. Is that correct? I mean, we have to. At some,
I don't think we have to. We don't have to. It's if the city council desires to do it. It is not required by IDOT to light the road.
Okay.
But if we do light it, we couldn't just do pedestrian lights, we do have to do the overhead lighting as well.
Okay, because if I'm looking at this map correctly, there are some lights that we had up until the construction started that have been taken out and will not be replaced under the current project. So in those areas, we're going to have reduced lighting. That's correct, right?
Yes.
Alderman Golson.
Can we hybrid this? In other words, if we do go forward with a proposal, can we maybe slim this down? And because I guess I have a few questions. If and when we were to be granted this, when would those monies, our share of those monies be due, and have we accounted for those dollars?
The answer is no, we have not accounted for them yet. I think it was stated at the last meeting, our ITEP grant for Kennedy Road bike path, in general, it was about a year for us to even get notice that we had been awarded. And then we spent a year and a half after that discussing whether we were going to accept the grant. So, you know, in general, you're looking at a 1 year to 2.5 year process before you even get to the point where you need to make a decision on the grant agreement, and that's if you get it. So after that, we did talk about this briefly at a staff level. I don't know if it's been talked about public, but, you know, with all grants, you are allowed to change the scope of services to a limited degree, so, or at least petition for it. So I couldn't imagine that if we got a grant for the entire project, we accepted it, you know, that they wouldn't allow us to then scale that back, as long as we didn't, you know, do one side of the road, where the road would be then lighted unevenly, or we wanted to significantly change the scope of what we were doing. Like, we couldn't, obviously, eliminate the lights and put in statues, but, you know, they would allow us, I think, to scale it down based on our funding.
So we could, in theory, I mean, there's quite a bit of money here in benches and planters and perennials, things like that. If we can scale that down, if and when we receive a grant application?
I would say no. If you're going to eliminate an entire category, it needs to be done now rather than after the grant, because otherwise they could say, you know, you wouldn't have been eligible for this grant unless you wouldn't have included these beautification projects, which is a component of the grant, the grant review.
The reason I'm asking those questions, obviously, is we all have seen our budget projections, and we all know where they're headed. And if you look at, you know, just in raw dollars on these, I mean, you've got $50,000, $75,000 in, well, here, we've got 24, you got $30,000 in A, you got 25, 50, 70, $70,000 in B, and you got $40,000, $80,000, $108,000 in C of just planters and benches, which is a lot of money for someone who's heading into some rocky times in terms of what we're going to have available in dollars from our budget. And I'm just wondering, so you're saying if we go forward with this, we can't take those out, we can't slim that out of this?
I'm not saying that you can't. I'm saying that, in my estimation, that would probably be something that would improve our chances of having a grant, and that if you removed it after the fact completely, that it may affect our eligibility for the grant. So if you wanted to remove a quarter of the benches and planters, that may be acceptable after the fact. But prior to, we probably need to know what components of what components of the grant are going to be included.
When is this due for our decision?
July 1st?
No, this one's May 29th.
Okay.
It's due for us to decide May 29th?
That's when it's due to the state, is on May 29th.
Yeah.
I mean, we just didn't have any of these discussions in committee, and so we're not going to obviously have the time. So to talk about potentially, if we do want to whittle this down a little bit.
No, you don't have the time to send it back.
Are you done, Alderman Wilson? Alderman Foxhausen?
Last, when we talked about this, one of the thoughts was reducing streetlights at the intersections. We talked about opposite corners. Did staff look at that to see if there would be some potential savings there if we could remove those?
I think it's going to depend on what IDOT deems as its standard.
Okay.
think by submitting it, I mean, we're going to have to work with them when we submit that to find that out.
Yeah, if we can reduce 2 from each intersection where we have 4, that's significant. Right now, it looks like most of these intersections only have 1, we're going 4, which technically there'd be 8 lights at most all of those, because you have the pedestrian and street light combination.
Actually, IDOT has signed off on the lighting, pardon me. So part of the design was actually performed as part of the Route 47 improvements. So there was, from what I can tell from records, there was a lot of back and forth, and IDOT finally did sign off on the lighting plan. So the plan that was approved basically is what's shown in the application. To vary from that would be very difficult. There's very strict standards, lighting standards that need to be followed in the state's regulations, guides and regulations.
So in terms of slimming things down, it's not going to come in the line items of the actual light.
In terms of slimming things down, I think you would have to cut blocks. So you wouldn't be able to reduce lighting per se. In certain areas, you would have to shorten the project if you will.
And just remember, too, that every location that we've got on that lighting plan is going to have an installed base as part of the IDOT contract. So the base and the electric will be there.
The base
conduit
and the
will be there.
conduit, yes.
So at that point, it's just a matter of installing. And the electric.
Alderman Cotton, Alderman Thielen.
Yeah, just to follow up on this now, just so I have this straight. If we were to pull all the streetscape issues out of here, the benches and whatnot, could we still move ahead with the 50/50, or does that kind of negate the whole application?
In our opinion, it would significantly degrade the quality of the application. So the purpose of ITEP is for, transportation, what's the word I'm looking for? Corridor improvements, thank you. And so aesthetics is one thing. The thing to remember about the benches and the planters too is that a lot of that is going to be contained within the downtown TIF, which you can use TIF dollars on. So, that's not going to necessarily come out of the general fund.
I guess where I'm going with this, obviously, street lighting to me is a top priority here. From a public safety standpoint, it's essential that we get this done properly. And, I agree, money's going to get tight here and we start committing ourselves. We can back out, but at some point we need to put some lights up. And I guess my follow-up question, all the decorative lights that we have now, I guess, are no longer meeting the IDOT standards. Is there any chance that could change where we could use those again? Because those are still decent lights.
I believe some of them in the downtown we've relocated into our parks. Yeah. So
we couldn't use them along 47.
No, because they have to have the taller traffic light.
I was actually just gonna say that a lot of this is gonna be covered by the TIF, other than the part on the other side of the bridge. And I mean, it would be nice, but I understand if I didn't do any math on here, Bart, but if we just had to pay for lights, because this does include a lot of extra things, but if we just had to pay for the lights, do you know what that was be?
Well, we can't do that.
No, wait.
Does anybody have a number off the top of their head?
If we don't apply for the grant, we'll have to put lights up, so I want to know how much it is just for the lights.
I believe the aesthetic improvements were about $100,000 to the total project. So about $100,000 to the total project. The aesthetic improvements.
$100,000. So the total is 932. So that would be $100,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? Alderman Gelson.
Just one last thing before we take a vote here. I'm torn over this because I agree with Alderman Cott that the lighting's a necessity. I think we need to get that done. But, I don't like all the extra thrown in there for the dollars that they've tied to those. And I truly, we like I said, we're all informed on where our budget's headed. And, I guess what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to vote for this, but when come time for that application to be granted, if we don't have those dollars, I'll vote against it.
Alderman Spears.
Excuse me. I think it would have been beneficial, and I should have brought this up earlier, If we all received a copy of the grant application to see what the specifics were in that application, what they're looking for, and just review the application. But maybe we could get that after the vote. It may be too late, but...
Well, we can get it, because if we do pass it, there's going to be other things that will have to be voted upon in the future. So absolutely, we use that as a reference. And as far as my take on it, I am going to be voting for it for the simple fact that the way I say it out, and I'm supporting that we do both north and south. A, I agree with Alderman Kopp with the public safety issue. B, we're going to have to add the lights, whether we apply for a grant or don't apply for a grant. We have to put a certain amount of lighting on Route 47. Otherwise, I think we're going to have 3 intersections with lights, and the rest of 47 is going to be dark. We're trying to promote the downtown area. We're trying to promote the riverfront, the businesses that are starting to build down there. I think it's a necessity that we either have to pay directly out of our pocket or state matched out of our pocket. If I have to pay for it one way or the other, I'd rather have some state assistance rather than paying 100% of it myself in the future. I will be voting against. Alderman.
Yeah, again, this is just to apply for the grant, correct? It's going to have to still come back and we get to assess what kind of funds we may have at that point.
Correct. You still have to approve a grant agreement if you're awarded a grant.
Regarding the issue of which option, if we're going to do this, let's do the entire road. Option 3 would be my choice.
Should we put an informal poll here?
Yeah, I'm in favor of moving this forward to see if we are given the grant, first of all. I think it's, looking at it being $800,000 for us to do it, or our share. There's a whole lot involved here for us that we would have to put into it, and if we do it now or later, I agree with what Carl said. This is an opportunity for us to get our lighting a little sooner than later, and we'll just have to see how it happens, what happens when it comes time to actually approving these to pay for it.
Are you in favor of north, south?
Both together.
Alderman Spears, if we vote, would you be in favor of one, the other, or both?
Both.
Okay. Anything further? All right, so with that, we will take a vote on the motion to approve the resolution to include the ITAP that we're going to, for staff information, both the north and south.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing we never put a moratorium on grants.
Thank you, Alderman. Roll call.
Gilson,
Aye.
Cox,
Aye.
Munns,
Aye.
Spears,
Aye.
Pelosi,
Aye.
Buckhauser,
Aye.
Teeling.
Aye.
Motion passes. With that, we will move to City Council 2012-39. I will entertain a motion to approve an ordinance authorizing aggregation. I will entertain a motion to reconsider an ordinance authorizing aggregation of electrical load and adopting an electrical aggregation plan of operation and governance. This should be motioned by someone who voted in the negative at the previous meeting.
I'd like to make that motion.
Alderman, 1 second. So with that, I would like to make a motion to approve an...
No, we take a vote on that.
Oh, so let's take a vote on the motion to reconsider. I don't think we need any discussion on that. We can have a discussion on the next motion. All right, so roll call on that.
Cox,
Aye.
Munns,
Aye.
Spears,
Aye.
Pelosi,
Aye.
Buckhauser,
Nay.
okay. Teeling,
Nay.
Gilson.
Aye.
All right, so with that, I would entertain a motion to approve an ordinance authorizing aggregation of electrical load and adopting an electrical aggregation plan of operation and governance, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute.
So move.
Second.
Spears. So discussion. As we know, we had this up last time, and it failed by a vote of 4-3, I believe. Personally, I've received numerous phone calls from the residents of Ward 1 that asked me to reconsider my vote, which I voted no. I'll be the first to admit when maybe I didn't vote how my residents wanted, and they made it very clear to me that they want electrical aggregation. So I will be changing my vote. I will be voting yes for the simple fact that I still have some reservations as far as the opt-in, opt-out aspect of the aggregation. However, based on the referendum and the communications I've had with my residents in the last 2 weeks, it is very clear to me that the residents of Ward 1 want it. So I will be voting yes. Any other comments about Ms. Spears?
I guess I'm the guilty one to bring it back on the agenda and ask everybody to reconsider. But I, too, have received many residents' emails and phone calls indicating that they were in favor of it and that they did vote to support this. So in order to do what the residents have asked me, the Ward 4 residents, I placed this back on for reconsideration. And once the plan of operation and governance, if it is approved, then the city then would take the next step and be ready to bid. And the city could take many precautions. I know I did receive a couple of emails that were forwarded from people who lived in Naperville and are totally upset with the whole system. They are upset because the city of Naperville enacted another tax on the people for this system. And I would like to, first of all, hope that this city council would never resort to that, never impose another tax on the residents if this does pass. And then I also have various information from the Citizens Utility Board, and they are totally in favor of this, and they just, indicated all the, this was on May 22nd, and they also talked about all the pros and the cons. And the smart meters, I don't think we should ever accept that in any of our contracts, because there is so much controversy as far as smart meters and the dangers to the public. And so that's why I asked several times if this was going to include the smart meters. And I hope the staff would not even consider any proposal that is requiring this smart meter.
I just wanted to clarify, there's absolutely no involvement with smart meters in this particular proposal, and we, as a city, because we don't run our own electrical utility like Naperville does, we won't ever have the option to turn them up or down. So I do know, though, that ComEd, with their legislation that they passed last year, is planning on rolling out smart meters metropolitan region-wide, and I've been told that that includes us. So I don't know that we have necessarily a choice in the matter, but obviously I'll keep you apprised as information is rolled out.
When this came around for referendum, I wasn't in favor. When it came up in the last vote, I was not in favor of this. I have not been in favor of this. It's one more arm of government controlling the residents and what we can do. We already have options to go with other suppliers as it is. The few calls that I have received on this have been not in support of the electrical aggregation, but in keeping this as a private entity. We don't have control of what the future councils will do. This is an issue that would be in perpetuity. These contracts can be renewed continually throughout time. So whatever negotiations happen that's down the road, we don't have control over it as this council, aside from this contract that we would be looking at now. I'm still not in favor of it. I have not been contacted by those who are in favor of it, and I'll be voting no for this.
Thank you. Alderman Gilson?
A couple things, just for clarity's sake. The smart meters I'm also opposed to, and but that has nothing to do with this aggregation at all. I mean, that is nothing, even if we voted yes or no to this, that has nothing to do with this at all. So I want to make that clear, first of all, because I also oppose smart meters. But, from day one, I supported this and this electrical aggregation. And since my absence, when the council denied it, I received dozens of emails saying, and Carlo has as well as Alderman for Ward 1, saying this needs to be reconsidered. And I agree with that. I still feel that this aggregation will present significant savings to our residents. And that being said, just a little FYI, at the YBSD meeting, who is aggregating and has locked in, they already estimated over $30,000 savings annually on their bill from aggregation, which is a huge savings. So, I support this. I hope that this council reconsiders as a whole this aggregation, and I hope we support this going forward.
Yeah, I continue to support this. It's a money saver for our residents. And as far as the concern about people not opting out, I guess the way I look at it, the penalty for somebody not opting out, if you want to call it a penalty, is likely a lower electrical bill. So, I mean, if that's the worst thing that happens to somebody in our town, then I'm all for it. But once again, I just think this can save people money. We do it as a large group. I think there's enough safeguards built in that I think it's something we need to do, and the people want us to do it. So I'm all for it.
Thank you.
I actually did get a lot of emails about this, and people were upset that we didn't vote for this. I guess I didn't think about it that as a group we would save more money, because I have opted out of ComEd, and I have, a different supplier currently, or whatever. And so I figured people could do it on their own. The only reason I voted against the reconsideration is just because we had this issue before. So I'm going to vote for it because I have gotten a lot of letters and emails and phone calls about it, that they want it.
Thank you.
Can I propose one more thing? In terms of education of the residents and the public as a whole, I do feel we need to make sure that they are educated in the opt-out system, whether that be on water bills or that be, with public meetings. And, we need to be very proactive at making sure that they know there's an opt-out before and after, and they're well aware of those time frames.
And I think based on the representations of the representative who was here regarding aggregation, the easiest way to opt out right now, if you wanted to, was to choose your own alternative provider at this point. Because if you already have an alternative provider, when we aggregate, you will not be included in that pool if you already have chosen your own company. So that's another option for you if you're thinking that you don't want to go with the city's choice. So any other comments? With that, roll call.
Hunt,
Aye.
Spears,
Aye.
Colosimo,
Aye.
Funkhauser,
Nay.
Teeling,
Aye.
Gilson,
Aye.
Pat.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, with that, Public Works Committee report.
Bear with me here, we'll get to it.
I don't believe that
There is no
report.
Economic Development,
No report, Your Honor.
Public Safety, no report. Administration. No report.
We have no report.
Park Board. Land Commission.
No report.
Zoning Board of Appeals. City Council, City Clerk,
No report.
City Treasurer.
No report.
Community Liaison. Alderman Gilson.
I have two things. First, I wanted to do my liaison report on the Yorkville-Bristol Sanitary District meeting on May 14th at 304 River Street. There was call to order and quorum was established. There were no public comments. There was a motion approving and placing on file the minutes from 4/9 of 12. They were approved. Same with the minutes of 4/3 of 12 for the joint special meeting, which were approved as presented. Motion approving goods, services for utilities were approved as presented, and that was bill ending 4/30 of 12, and bills ending 5/14 of 12 were also approved as presented. Motion approving investments is needed. There's a transfer of $100,000 to a construction fund as stated below. And they renewed a CD for $550,000 with Castle Bank. There was also a motion to renew a $225,000 CD with Castle Bank and transfer $325,000 from the checking to cover the general fund. Motion approving revisions to the main ordinance 2006-11. There was no discussion. The motion of approved 2012-2013 budget, there was a clarifier in capital improvements, cost of $75,000 for equipment, budgeting $150,000, expecting to spend $105,000 to $110,000, should be completed by September or October, and budget for a new hire next year. They also was a motion for tentative approval of the budget, and they'll send out a public notice for that. The NPDES permit expires the end of May. The special waste certified with Envirotech in Morris, and there was a fixed asset report with industrial appraisal done, cost about $9,000, should be done every year for 5 years, or every 5 years, excuse me. Office manager report, the ID&R expenses sent for reimbursement related to the dam. We'll have an annual report completed soon. There's a plan number log complete for commercial developments, and there was also new business. The new business discussed a value of an engineering study of existing plans for expansion of the sewer plant's capacity. There was just a note, as I mentioned earlier, YBSD estimates a $30,000 annual savings through Exelon and aggregation. So, one last thing, there was an executive director report. They had a Fox River study group meeting. The IEPA showed up and put pressure on the group to add verbiage related to nutrient limits to the permits. YBSD feels the IEPA should not put any limits on phosphorus in the permits because the IEPA has adopted that resolution themselves. YBSD prefers to use science to dictate levels of phosphorus as needed. This phosphorus limit proposal would affect the YBSD as well as the municipalities related to their NPDES permits and the Fox River, the Fox River and their stormwater system. The phosphorus limit could potentially cost the YBSD and municipalities a ton of money for chemical treatment and capital improvements if passed. There was Adam, While Adam was performing an annual lab proficiency testing for the YBSD, they added one control valve and another will be added this year, and they're hoping that the YBSD and council can work together to standardize language in their ordinance for grease traps or interceptors. Has spoken to Bart and Pete about this. What they stated at the meeting. Also, I do want to read an email from a resident as requested, and I'm going to read part of it only because that's what I was requested to do. So. This resident says, "Dear George, just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. All the bad debt that the city wrote off for uncollected development fees that no one at the city was keeping track of to make sure they were being paid off. The Rob Roy sewer fund fiasco that the existing residents are now eating and paying for. The countryside TIF, that is an absolute joke that the city paid for a developer to tear down the center so the developer could develop on the land and then went belly up. So yet again, another example of how the few current existing residents are paying for all the builder concessions and poor decisions from the city, all in the name of development. And now here we are again in the same predicament. The city wants to develop, so they create this build program and make the existing residents pay $250,000 out of their taxes so that the new homeowners can get a $10,000 credit when they purchase a new home in Yorkville. The builder makes the money, the city gets an additional 22 plus homes in tax revenues. And what do the existing residents get? Higher water and sewer bills and no tax relief. The city's response? Until we get 200 new building permits a year, we can't do anything for the residents. Come on. Sure, some developers may have a lock on their sewer and water tapping fees, but come on. There has got to be some way for the city to collect the new revenue from the property taxes on these new construction homes and apply it to the water sewer bill shortfall that the city will encounter next year. So at this point, the city is basically saying, to its residents, no, we will continue to tax you, raise your water and sewer fees, raise your tax levy, and expect you to pay for all the development, new and old, and poor decisions that the city has made previously. And what if the housing and development market doesn't come back for 5 to 10 or 15 years? So the residents have to wait until the year 2020 before the city gets 200 building permits in a year before they will take some of their extra revenue in new taxes that will be accumulating over the next 8 years. Before they give any concessions or tax relief to the existing residents, they are basically carrying them with all of the mistakes that they have made previously with regards to all the concessions to the builders and developers in the first place. That I'm going to cut that email off there. There's a little bit more, but yeah, she asked me to forward that to all you or read it, and so that's what I'm doing, and that's why I read the email.
Just a question, would that person's name be entered into the record?
It should be.
It should be. I mean, we don't know who it's from.
I mean, yeah, sure. It's Lisa Peterson.
They can't what is the legal thing? I mean, shouldn't people say their own things, or we could all come in saying, I got this email and read all these, kind of slanted political things.
We don't have a governing ordinance anymore, and the agenda says community liaison report, and so we can deem that possibly a report from the community. But I would agree with you that that the name of the person and addressing it, and if we want to establish some rules with that regard, we have to do that.
We put that administration committee for discussion.
Sure.
Because again, I've had several people call and thank me that our city tax bill went down 30% this year, but I don't feel the need to, unless they want to say it, just say it. So because it's not a, again, if we deem it's a report, it's a report. I don't think it should be brought up.
Either way, like I said, I'm okay with the discussion in admin too. I just like it. The resident asked either I forward it to all you or read it, and I had no problem reading it. So I just got it.
People could email us directly as they've done before, so that's why I just kind of found it strange that they would ask you to pass it on where before they email us directly.
Yeah, they can email you directly.
They have. That's why.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, we'll add admin. Any other liaison reports? Alderman Spears.
I have two short ones. The first one is on May 11th, I attended the Agency on Aging Executive Board of Directors meeting, and the agency then announced that they will hold public hearings on Thursday, May 31st, on the proposed allocation of funds for senior services in all of its 8-county service for fiscal year 2013. This will include $409,921 for Kendall County alone. These funds would cover case coordination, unit access service, emergency support, legal services, congregate meals, home delivered meals, transportation, residential repair and renovation, home injury control, medication management, elder abuse intervention, caregiver resource center services for all individuals age 60 and over. The hearings will begin at 10 a.m. and will be held at the Gladys Fox Museum, 231 East 9th in Lockport. And again, anybody is welcome to come and attend the hearings. And I'm sure public input would be welcome. The second item is on May 10th, 2012, I attended the Fox Valley Cable and Telecommunications Executive Board meeting. Various budget items were reviewed, discussed, and approved, and Manager Mike Reynolds provided information regarding programs, bulletin board messages received and posted, various aired basketball games, tours of the TV studio. Mike is planning to meet with high school athletic directors and coaches from Yorkville, Sandwich, Plano, and West Aurora to begin planning of the fall coverage of the high school football. And they did also record some live meetings with, live games with West Aurora High School. So, I mean, they're really progressing. And we also, I believe, received our funds back from this. So we're really paying nothing. anything that we do invest is a return to the city. That's all.
Oh, the front houses?
I have two. Last night, school board had their monthly meeting. Rather lengthy meeting due to all the student recognition at the end of the year. They just went through all of their recognitions for band, the track, wrestling, all the different organizations. There were some different groups that participated in the Green Fair. And they gave a very nice recognition to all those students for their accomplishments throughout the year. Also, there were some accomplishments for teachers as well as one of the schools. Maybe a couple of them won some pretty nice awards throughout the state. So it was good to see that. Regular business there. One thing that was on for discussion but was tabled, which is a point of note, was their architect, their selection of architect for their expansion. They raised the point that right now their budget numbers have been kind of expanded from what they thought, from 40 million. They're between 40 and 60 million now, as they are discussing their options. They tabled their discussion as they are waiting for written staff comments, which they get to receive. So that's something that'll be forthcoming. Also, they did approve their graduation list. Otherwise, graduation would be pretty slim this year. They did a couple others, but those are the highlights of the school board meetings without getting into a lot. Also, I had attended the Aurora Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. It was an event for 25 years. I do have a proclamation of appreciation that I accepted on behalf of the city, and I'm going to be giving to the mayor. I will read this real quick if that's all right. Proclamation of appreciation. Whereas the Aurora Area Convention and Visitors Bureau is celebrating 25 years of service and development and commemorating its establishment through the Greater Aurora Chamber of Commerce in May 1987. And whereas the Aurora Area Convention and Visitors Bureau promotes a service area including the communities of Aurora, Batavia, Big Rock, Hinkley, Montgomery, North Aurora, Plano, Sandwich, Sugar Grove, and Yorkville. And whereas the Aurora Area Convention and Visitors Bureau is an accredited bureau within the state of Illinois, recognizing its professionalism, strategic alliances, and investments to serve the hospitality, entertainment, and related businesses within the United City of Yorkville. And whereas the United City of Yorkville has been an instrumental partner with the Aurora Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, with our affiliated hotels, restaurants, cultural attractions, festivals, events, and retailers. And whereas the Aurora Area Convention and Visitors Bureau supports and promotes the destinations and attractions that contribute more than $120 million annually to the economic impact of our service area. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Aurora Area Convention and Visitors Bureau does hereby express appreciation and gratitude to the United City of Yorkville for its exceptional commitment and support, and be it further proclaim that the Aurora Area Convention and Visitors Bureau will continue to be fully committed to supporting and encouraging visitors to the amenities available to our municipal partners, including the United City of Yorkville. In official recognition whereof, in conjunction with the Aurora Area Convention and Visitors Bureau Board of Directors and employees, we hereby affix signature this 26th day of April 2012.
Thank you very much. Any other reports? Staff reports?
We do have two things, Your Honor. First is that ABC 7 Chicago was downtown this morning and afternoon to interview me, the Geneva Kayak owner, Ryan Rushton, and some users of the Marge Klein Whitewater Chute for a 190 North show, which is going to air on June 3rd at 11 p.m. on ABC 7. So everybody tune in and hear all about downtown Yorkville. And then we do have one more thing from Laura.
I have a few things. I've expanded my report since this afternoon. First, I want to thank the Night Corps volunteers that came and cleaned up our riverfront parks on Saturday. There were over 100 people there, and they did a lot of great work. They had a whole pile of trash, so that was much appreciated. June is a busy month. We have June 2nd, we have the Walter Payton Run. June 8th is our music and wine night. We're going to have the band trio down at Town Square Park. Cobblestone will be doing the wine. Farmers Market starts on June 9th from 8 to noon. The Chamber River Night is on June 22nd. And then, of course, we have baseball tournaments every single weekend. So just hope you get out and about and to some of our events. So.
Alderman Keeling?
How many, I was at the NICOR event, downtown, or at the river. How many people were there total, do you know?
I don't know the exact number. I know they had 130 signed up, so I'm not sure if everybody made it, but I know it was over 100.
Because that was $100 for every person that signed up?
If they wanted to donate, yes. I know that they're going to come back to another meeting in June. They're actually going to come and present something in June.
Okay.
So.
Well, that was a push.
Right. Anything else? All right, well, I'm going to move for executive session, but for the public, the only thing we're going to do after executive session is we are going to adjourn. We are not going to take any action. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session for the litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting, or the collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or representatives, or deliberations concerning salaries scheduled for one or more classes of employees, and for the discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under this act, whether for the purpose of approval by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as amended by section 2.06.
I'll move.
Second. Gilson. Roll call.